ready? Three, two, one, let's go. Here we go. It is at the buzzer episode, doesn't matter. With me, as always, is my good pal G, my co pilot, my partner in crime. We ain't done this in a minute, G. What are you thinking here?
I'm thinking, man, it's bistro time. I'm cooking up some big, big time hot takes, and they'll be going out the door today. I can tell you right now. I've been doing all right, man. I've been enjoying some of the games. I just watched a bit of the beatdown of Phoenix and Golden State. There, we're doing this on a Friday night, so January
Yeah,
30th.
they're just replaying the Toronto Raptors disaster on
Yeah, not a good
Sportsnet
one
over
for
here.
them. Yeah, so a couple. Yeah, there's quite a few games tonight, I think, but overall, man, it's trade deadline coming next week, so I thought this is as
Trade
good as
deadline
time as
coming
any.
next Thursday.
So we've been breaking out our pencils and paper and seeing what kind of deals we can cook up and which one's more ridiculous than the other. But I've got some more ridiculous ones to throw at you later on.
Purple and gold has Steph's names all over it.
I mean, it'd be a cool look. I will grant that and that only. But that is that our first topic?
Let's do it.
Is which one, Lakers or Steph?
We'll do Steph first, and then we'll do the Lakers second. How about that?
Okay. Okay. This works. All within the first 15 or two separate 15s?
We can do whatever which way we want to do it. We'll see how long it takes us to get through Steph.
All
First of
right.
all,
Sounds good.
does the possibility of Steph leaving Golden State even exist? Let's start with that.
I think the odds of, yeah, it's pretty slim. It would have to be a
I'm gonna say
weird.
yes.
I think it's
I'm
possible,
gonna
but
say yes. I'm gonna say yes because Steph's only got a limited time left, and I think he still wants to get one more. And I've been thinking about a couple of landing spots for Steph that aren't the Lakers, you
mhm.
know,
Okay, this is
and
exciting. Yeah.
and I want to throw something out there that people are going to probably laugh at me for, but I want to get your take on this. My first landing spot for Steph Curry, I'm going to say Jalen Brunson for Steph Curry.
Whoa. I believe.
How's that for starting off the pod?
Well, I just witnessed the basketball world break in half in my mind there, so that would just break everybody. Oh my God. Yeah, that's like starting the fireworks off with the last firework there, man. That's a that's the big bang. That's that's a gong. Let's go. Okay, talk to me. Talk to me. How does this happen and why?
I don't know how this happens, but the reason I thought about this was because of two things. One, the Knicks are pretty solid. All they really would help them was a facilitator, which Steph can do, and Steph can get his 30 points a night, so you're not losing any of Brunson's scoring production. And on the Golden State side, the reason you would do this deal is it gets you younger, it keeps a good point guard, and it allows him to grow with the team in the possibility of a rebuild for the Golden State Warriors. So I'm trying to think of scenarios where it can help both sides, and hopefully Steph can help the Knicks get over the hump. Well, Jalen kind of helps the rebuild there in Golden State. You can tell me if I'm off base or if I'm cuckoo or whatever, but those that is my reasoning for Jalen Brunson for Steph Curry.
Man, I love it for the sheer audacity.
The
Both
sheer
fan bases
audacity.
are sharpening pitchforks and just squinting at you, I think, right now, going, "Nuh-uh, nuh-uh, nuh-uh, no way, no." Like, and number one, I think, is Jalen Brunson's almost got himself I'm trying to think of the bird that sort of sets up a nest permanently. Like he's ingratiated himself into that organization in a big way that feels like it's going to be hard to get that dude out of there. And as the fan base goes, they're pretty uh, attached to him, I think, as well. So that would be the boldest move I could ever think of, but I love it for the sheer audacity of that. And it's similar with Steph, so maybe that's the trade-off is that they're both kind of beloved, attached to their franchise, but both franchises are potentially limited by a hard cap ceiling here. Just depends which franchise sees themselves win now, which would be Knicks, and which one's serious about a medium rebuild, right? Which would not be the full timeline, which would make sense for Golden State. But
So that
man,
was my first trade
yeah, I mean, I'm
proposal.
still sitting with that one because if you pull all emotion and personality stuff, and out of
Hypothetically, I'm
it,
right.
the bridges, the blah 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 thing, the just all the investment they've made into this little identity core with the cat and just the best friends forever and podcasts, and it's just like they've almost sent themselves into a corner that way of like, yeah, if Brunson ends up not being the best option, like you could have gotten Steph Curry. They've now sort of wound themselves into a business that's not basketball, right? It's clubhouse stuff, which is potentially disaster for a team that wants to win a championship.
You think that's audacity? You ready for my second possible trade offer?
Hold on. I'm glad I'm sitting down. Let's put that.
Try this one. Let's have a reunion tour. Steph Curry for Devin Booker.
That was the first time this crossed my mind, and I had one going both ways of Durant going to Golden State reunion that way because the only job you would have as Golden State is to make Matt Ishbia believe that Jimmy Butler is not coming, and you could do that quite easily. You could just really remind him nobody's going to help you, and so if you're not getting Jimmy Butler, you're stuck. You're not going to get better. So you might as well go full rebuild and send us KD, and we're going to run it back. It's the ultimate run it back. So send KD to Golden State.
That's an interesting take on it. I went the other way.
I
I
love
just
it. I love it. Yeah, hit me with your thinking.
I just think that Steph's at a point in his career where the less work he has to do, the better. And I think with a refreshed Bradley Beal in Phoenix, who's, believe it or not, more stable right now than Devin Booker. I don't know what's happened to Devin Booker, but he's kind of gotten to the unstable portion of his career. And I just think Steph could really use somebody as a bridge, which is what I thought Dennis Schroeder was going to be for the Golden State Warriors, and it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, he's just
It
not it.
hasn't. And
Hmm.
I don't understand it because I thought, okay, Steph's going to get his break, Schroeder's going to get his 15 to 17 points, and the Warriors will be okay. It hasn't worked out that way.
It's
So
brother. I could name two reasons. It's a young man's league and it's a three man's league, and Schroeder ain't got either. He old
well,
and average at best.
those are my two possibilities for Stephen Curry is Phoenix and New York.
Imagine this for a second of Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant as your shooters on the floor at once.
Ain't
Is
that
that
something?
is that guardable? I mean, oh my god. Yeah, that would certain. And so Booker on Golden, but what's Draymond then? Do they send Draymond at the same time somewhere else?
They send Draymond to somewhere.
Wherever, yeah, LA.
We could use the grit, to be honest with you.
Honestly, if you got Draymond Green, it would change my opinion on things because he's going to hold guys to another standard when LeBron's exhausted and AD's exhausted of holding these dudes to account. In comes Draymond. Oh my God, that would be a consistent level of
And while
yeah.
you're coming at me in the comment section, I know there's a 95% chance that Steph isn't going anywhere. So I'll just throw that in there. So they're not coming at me at the comment section like I'm crazy.
But it's interesting now. Steve Kerr has entered the phase of Anthony Davis, where he's like, we need some help. We're not as constructed. We're not it. And he's come to that and said it publicly. I think it was yesterday, and AD
So
was
I've said
saying
this.
that last week. So there is this push for change here before the deadline, but can either one actually make moves that puts them in serious contention for a title? Who's got the best?
Well, that's the interesting thing, because I've said since day one, Steph Curry or not Steph Curry, Steve Kerr has been a facade. I've said it from day one.
Well,
And even as he was racking up titles, I was like, "Oh, you just wait. There's the facade will be broken." And now you're starting to see the facade is falling apart
it
because
could be part
you
of
have to
the
remember, you
generation
have
too.
to you have to remember that Steve Kerr walked into a championship situation. He
He
didn't
nicked
have to do a whole he didn't have to do a whole heck of a lot. I put Steve Kerr in the same place I put Ty Lue in.
there's actually more coaches than I think people think that have come into situations like that. It's like there's a Kenny Atkinson. He comes into where JB Bickerstaff has been grinding and doing all this stuff, but they needed a change to get that extra level. And that's just what it was, I think, sometimes is there was a some sort of blockage with that thing. Maybe too much time, people just gotten tired of it, right? Like sometimes it's just a time thing and you were there early, so people are exhausted of you. And then in comes new guy and wins the championship. It's sort of like the person playing the slot machine for 4 hours, and then the other person comes in, wins it once. It's just like,
Interesting
how's that?
analogy.
How's that fair, right? And it's like, I don't know. It was the wind, right? Something needed to change. It was you, and he came in and he won. So it's like, and I think that's maybe luck, but I wouldn't call it luck. I'd call that chaos. And that's the nature of the universe. Sometimes, like the weather, sometimes it's chaos. It's just fucking what it is. And Steve Kerr happened to be on the season of one beautiful wave to gold, the golden wave. Yeah, that's what it is, man.
We'll see. So, do you have any Steph Curry situations that you could see happening before Thursday?
Houston crossed my mind, but I know you're not a big fan of Houston. It's just they've got
No,
some
I'm a big.
legs, dude.
I
They've got
I like
legs.
Houston. I
Like
like
Jalen
Houston,
Green's been balling,
but
like, whew,
my
oh, he can
issue
get
with
smoked,
Houston is
yo.
what I told you just before we hit the record button. Let's put him under the bright
Experience.
lights.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you'd have to trade Fred for Steph in the deal, probably, to make the money work. Or maybe
Make the
not,
money
because
work.
they wouldn't want Fred, right? So there would have to be some weird, a whole lot of money playing and a chunk of your assets to get him. But boy, if you could have Steph and you know what? I take it back. Houston's a terrible idea. Um, I don't know, man. I don't think there's anything that's actually coming to mind off the top of my head. I heard a couple of good ones like Orlando, and
I just wanted to get the Jalen Brunson thing out of my head because I've been
that's
thinking about it
amazing.
for a
Yeah,
while.
dude. Out of all the teams, that would have been number 30 or something. That's that. And now that you say it, I'm like, sure, like, yeah, but it's as likely as any of the other ones. So
It just makes sense to me because Golden State's got to go into a rebuild, and you got to have a point guard to lead the team. And
yeah.
I just thought that that might work for them.
Let me throw this one to break the internet right before the buzzer. All right, I'm Caleb Love here in the Arizona game. Bang, it's about 2 seconds left. I don't know if you caught that one, but Caleb loved them so hard, went 1 for 10 on three, and then did this. Steph to San Antonio Spurs.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that's what we call at the buzzer, ladies and gentlemen. Our 15 minutes just went there for our Steph topic. We can put another 30 seconds on. If you want to have any comments, I'll leave that open to you.
No, I'm good on that one. I'll just let that one sit for the people.
Steph's not that
So,
old. He's not that old. He's got a few
so I
years
have
on him.
2 other topics that I want to touch on before we go because we're doing
Yeah,
some
man,
hosting
please.
here.
Yeah.
But I want to know which one do you want to do first? Do you want to do the Lakers first, or we can do team we think will make the biggest deal and the team we think should make the biggest deal at the trade deadline?
Ooh.
So which way do you want to go first?
Let's get the Lakers out of the way first.
Let's do it. Okay, you got the timer. I'll let you be the timer guy
Okay. Cool. We're at
because
60.
you and I had an interesting conversation off air that I'm sure you want to get on the record.
You know what? No doubt. And I'm going to be more a listener, but I will cast my doubt. All right.
All
We
right,
are
is the
rolling.
timer started?
We're rolling.
All right. Here's the Laker fan hot take that everybody's going to crucify me for. Other than Oklahoma City, this is the way I said it off air, I fear no other team in the Western Conference with the squad that I have. You look at the consistent contributions of Westside Connect, of Austin Reeves, of Rui Hachimura, and then you throw AD and LeBron in there. I don't fear anybody in the Western Conference other than Oklahoma City. If we draw Oklahoma City, we could be in trouble. But every other team, from the Nuggets to the Timberwolves to the Warriors and the Suns, have all shown their warts. And I don't believe the Houston Rockets have properly been tested yet under the bright lights of the playoffs. So, as far as the Lakers are concerned, and I want to make this part very clear because somebody's going to clip this, I'm not saying we're going to win the West. But what I'm saying is I believe we can compete and make a run at the Western Conference title as long as we can avoid the bracket with Oklahoma City.
I had to lean in again for it just because I was like, I want to. And now I was starting to see the logic for a minute. I was like, okay, no, I like the Finney Smith. I like Hachimura's numbers. He's doing that, average stuff. He's not going down. The warts thing is true. I've seen the same thing of like there's some big uh-oh marks or question marks you could say for each of the other Western teams, despite all their really big positive. The experience is a big one. That's a fair
Because remember
thing
at the
to point
beginning of the
at.
year,
But I
what
gotta
have I
ask,
been saying? What have I been saying for the first half of the year? We're a play-in team or we're a lottery team. But as the season has gone along, and I've seen these teams play multiple games over periods of time, and I see the warts developing, other than Oklahoma, I think we can compete with anybody in the West.
I think under ideal circumstances, there's an argument to be made, but life is never ideal circumstances. And here's what I'll say about the sort of bright lights theory is that I'm not sure LeBron can even tell when the lights are that bright or not. He's 41, man. He's got age working against him. It is experience, but almost too much experience. And he's got grudges and an emotional thing going on right now with his son that's weird and public and hard for most people to watch. And he's doing it
Including
during
myself.
regular season games.
I'll
Like
throw myself.
it's not preseason. It's not the Emirates some international cool thing or whatever. It's Charlotte Hornets chanting MVP when Bronny's got the ball. It's him playing first quarter minutes as you're getting smoked by the Embiid-less Sixers. It's like these are not appropriate professionalism standards that you're holding yourself to, let alone your team. And these habits will rear their heads. And so his experience is sort of working against him in his arrogance of like, I've done this a million times. I can F around. It's like, that's not how the saying works. F around and find out.
By
He
the way,
hasn't found out. Yeah.
I'm gonna take 2 seconds to acknowledge that you came up with another cool tagline of Dennis Rodman's #1 fan. I love that, by the way. I just had to point that out for a quick minute. But
There's,
no, my
yeah.
logic is not that the Lakers are an unbeatable team because we're not. We're very beatable. But what I'm saying is the gap between the best team, the second best team, and the fifth best team in the Western Conference, which right now is currently the Los Angeles Lakers, is not that. It's not as big a gap as people might think it is.
And that's actually a fair hot take that, yeah, despite all the tomfoolery, they're holding on to a fifth spot in the Western Conference. That deserves a little bit of like pondering. What could that entail? It's just that nothing gives me confidence about LeBron's attitude right now. And AD's body is a human body that occasionally gets injured, and he's got one going right now. And I'm
And he will
like,
not play
boy,
tomorrow night again. He will not
yeah.
play tomorrow night against the Knicks.
And guess who's
Also,
going to be playing though? Bronny, because it's the Knicks, and he's got to get his endorsement stuff done. So he's going to play. He's going to play. Rich Paul has decided he's playing, guarantee. So this is like, it's a dicey game they're playing with the business/business going on, and who better pull it off than LeBron and his family? But I think that the margin is too thin. In the end, there's hungry teams out there that are going to stick it to them with everything they've got. And if they're even just a little bit too distracted by the circus side of things, there's going to be some hungry Grizzlies or some powerful Rockets taking every chance they can to get that win when it counts, right? Like Jamal Murray did. He took that chance because he wanted it so bad, and he took that at the end of those Lakers games in the last one. I think there's guys like that still out there, including Jamal Bro Murray.
but remember, the circumstances weren't that much different. The Lakers went to the Western Conference Final before they got swept by the Denver Nuggets that year. And I'm just going to point out this
The circumstances were different. Bronny
the circum
was not on the payroll.
Bronny was not on the payroll. But the landscape of the Western Conference wasn't that much different than it is right now.
But those teams do have a little bit more experience, like the Memphis Grizzlies thing of Jalen Wells and Gigi Jackson. Like, okay, cool, you've got two unreal like guys that are just fresh as daisies and can jump out the gym and seem to have basketball sense that's like a 5-year vet, and they're rookies. It's unfair almost how some of these teams have stacked, like OKC and Houston with some of these draft picks, and they've got Reed Shepard, a #3 draft pick, as the 14th guy. They've got young, great players all the way through. So if they step up to the lights and they don't flinch, and LeBron's busy taking photos with his son and Spike Lee, I mean, it's just not
Well,
going to go
Spike's
well.
in New York, so that's not
Like
going to
Spike goes to
happen.
other games, you know.
By the way, I got to tell you, I
Yeah,
really want to know when the next Spike Lee movie is. I'm just going to throw that out.
yeah. I don't know what his last one even was.
But
Was it the one that
that's my
was?
point
Yeah,
exactly. But
he's
I
been.
but
Yeah,
I'm speaking more of the fear is gone. Like I thought we were gonna have to run the gauntlet in the Western Conference.
it's
And
interesting that you're
I
seeing
don't
the fear gone, and over the last couple of weeks of watching ball, I've kind of grown respect for the West, in particular, the Memphises and the Houstons, and even Denver watching Murray resurge here finally after Shaq called him out live. I don't know if it was that, but he's definitely played way better over the last month than before. So, and the Clippers, man, let's just have a moment to talk about the Clippers, the Lakers ugly. What would you even call it?
You want us to talk about little brother? We can talk about little brother. What do you want to say about little brother?
Always things people, there's probably some myth or some like legend or movie that you can point to where people forget about the little brother, and they forget about him just long enough that he decided to start taking things seriously and quietly pounding away and building his house. He's like the little pig that made it out of brick. And then when it might come to a storm season in the first round, I I think there's a conversation here. We got to talk about the little brother. He's been working quietly and probably most diligently than they have, and Kawhi's just coming back and ramping up. What do you get if you get a fully healthy Kawhi and a sturdy Clippers?
First of all, there never ever will be another season where Kawhi is 100% healthy.
No doubt, but
But
they're doing fine without him. So any of they get on top is just a little bit of cherry. So it's like they would be interesting without him. Not they wouldn't be the contender, but they'd be interesting. I wouldn't necessarily
I
see
will say
them.
this. I will say two things about little brother. One, congratulations on finally moving out of the house. It's about goddamn time.
Yeah, yeah. Steve Ballmer's proud of that one. Yeah,
Secondly, you just moved into our old house, so that's fine. That's okay. You're still in your own house.
that's
But
yeah.
secondly, the one thing I will
And
say
Norm
about
Powell,
Clip
shout out.
and Norm Powell, well, I got a soft spot for Norm. But
Everybody does. He won the lottery. They say he lost the All Star thing. Just quick aside. Norm won because everybody's showing respect for him, and he doesn't have to do the stupid All Star game. Norm won the All
Norm,
Star game, y'all.
we here at the buzzer love you and we salute you.
Oh yeah,
But
man.
second
He's
thing I will
sitting
say
pretty
about
right now.
the second thing I will say about the Clippers is, and I love to say this, and I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to say it. Clippers do Clippers things. And you have to remember
Okay.
also James Harden isn't gonna get that step back call that he gets in the regular season. He never gets it in the playoffs. Kawhi,
Seems like the step back's gone now. They changed that rule fairly good, I
yeah,
think.
but you wouldn't get that call in the playoffs anyway. And
Yeah.
the Clippers are gonna be out early.
There's just something a bit different because they've been so like rightfully like, oh, you guys aren't ever gonna be, but there was something that didn't kind of go down about them. It looked like everybody on their team, including Tyler, just seemed to take their job a bit more seriously, including James Harden.
Oh, please, please, please let me draw Ty Lue and the Clippers. Please,
We might have
please.
to move on because I don't want to take away from the Lakers too much, but I just was going to say the quiet aside because they are just irrelevant. It's and that's where I think if you had to say anything, they're just underestimated. That's all, and
After
that
years of
makes
being
5 or 6
proven as to
teams.
why they should be underrated or underestimated, they've earned
Yeah,
that reputation.
yeah. It's just that everybody's got, like you said, warts and all, and the Lakers do. Everybody does. Nobody's got a perfect record. Otherwise, we'd be talking about them as the dynasty of all dynasties, right? So everybody's got failure written all over them in the West, other than,
Oklahoma looks pretty solid.
yeah, but they haven't actually broken through, right? They didn't get to the finals when that's a different level of brightness. And the Lakers have, and that's a fair thing to say about the Lakers is that they have guys there that do it. It's just that those guys' priorities are different. LeBron is too scattered. He's not there, and he has to be all there, and he's not. He's just not. and AD is going to do everything he can, but he's also going to get hurt because he's doing everything he can. And that's what happens with the Lakers. Lakers do Lakers things. Boom, at the buzzer.
There's
It's
about
not, but
17 banners. 17, 17 banners say we do pretty well for ourselves, I guess. But
yeah, I'll respect that.
that's another story for another time. So now on
Yeah.
to the main topic of the evening, I guess, with Thursday being right around the corner, my friend. Who
Is that
who do you
the,
think
yeah,
should
okay.
who do you think should make the biggest trade and who will make the biggest trade come Thursday at the deadline? And keep in
Oof,
mind, DeJounte Murray has torn his Achilles tonight, and he's out
tough.
for the year.
That's a real tough one. Another young guy getting injured yet again. That's brutal. Uh,
And while we're both here, we're just gonna say we wish you well, DeJounte. Get well. We can't wait to see you back on the court doing your thing, man.
much respect. I think who should make a trade. Oof. Do you have one going off the top of your head here?
Memphis,
Mm,
right
same.
off the top of my head,
Okay. Anybody in mind?
because no, and I'll tell you why this is gonna sound weird coming from me. Because Jaw, it's Jaw in a bunch of pieces right now. Solid pieces. I want to make that clear. Solid pieces. But Jaw needs that running
Mm.
buddy. Somebody that when Jaw has an off night, he can go, it's okay because I got so and so watching my
What's
back.
wrong with Jaren Jackson Jr., All-Star?
I don't trust it. I think the
That's
Grizzlies
about as
need
good
to
as running
do.
mate as you could get. Who could you get better than him?
I think he just needs to he needs a running buddy. He needs an established running buddy.
Like a Kyrie type of thing?
Something close to that, yeah.
Ooh.
Somebody where it's not all on him every night.
KD?
Could be. And the reason I don't rule out that possibility is because AD's proven AD's gonna do what's best for AD. He's not worried about your logo, he's not worried about what city you're in. He's gonna do what he wants to do. So I don't rule out that possibility either.
I love that you heard AD because I was saying KD, but now I like AD going there.
Huh? You said
I
who?
I said KD, and you're
Oh,
thinking
KD?
eight? Yeah,
I was thinking 80, but either one works.
yeah.
Because
I don't think. Yeah.
let's face it, KD is a hired gun too.
Hmm.
There's
Exactly.
no different. Because whether it's KD or AD, they've both shown that they're capable of doing what's best for them, and not necessarily
Yeah.
what's best for a franchise.
If it aligns,
So
though, it's usually pretty good for both. Yeah.
Memphis tops my list as far as teams that I feel need to make a trade. Now, who do I think should make a trade? And this is gonna fly in the face of maybe they should make a trade. Maybe they're not gonna get into the play-in. But I'd like to see the Spurs make a move.
Mm.
I'd like to see the I'd like to see the Spurs make a move where they put a stamp and they say, Wemby, we got you help. Now go get it.
Do you see that as De'Aaron Fox? All the rumors around him wanting
I
to go
do.
there.
That was the name of that was the name on the top of my head was De'Aaron
Nice.
Fox. De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama. Could you imagine the
I don't know if
possibilities?
I've got all the faith in the world in De'Aaron Fox, to be honest. I would be hesitant.
It's worth the gamble. I gotta be honest. I don't have a lot of faith in it either, but it's worth the gamble.
Is there somebody better out there that you could find? Is Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy's too unpredictable.
Fair,
At this
fair.
stage in Victor's career, I want somebody
Maturity
who
and
he knows is going to be there, and that kind of thing.
yeah.
But I love Jimmy. I've defended Jimmy on this here podcast, but it's just not the right spot for Jimmy.
He thinks he's a Phoenix Sun, but really he's a Houston Rocket. That's Jimmy's problem. He's a
Yeah,
dog, and he's trying to fight it. He's trying to go be a pretty boy in the sun. It's like, Jimmy, you're a dog.
that's
Go
not who
join the
you are.
Rockets. Yeah, the Rockets are waiting, but no taxes.
And so,
Yeah.
I've given you my two picks of Memphis and San Antonio. What do you
Who do you
have
think
cooking over
will?
there on the
Who
fish?
do you think will make a trade?
Who do I think will make a trade?
Hmm.
Honestly, I see a shakeup coming in Golden State.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors have been. I think the Warriors have been too inconsistent, and their management has been so good over the last, would you say, 7 years to a decade,
Yeah.
that I think they're gonna look at this squad and they're gonna be like, "Now's the time to make a move." And I don't
And I
know.
think I know which way you're saying. You're not saying to go towards make a last run. You're saying to dismantle.
No, it could be to make a last run, but
Okay.
I think. But what I'm saying is, I think the Warriors will make a move one way or the other, because they're either going to be like, "Okay, we're all in on the last ride," or we're going to turn the ship around. I don't know which
Yeah.
way they're going to go, but I think that the Golden State Warriors will make a move at
That's a
some point.
perfect yeah, man. That's a perfect transition into what I'm thinking for who should and who, you know, or actually who needs to. I think they need to, for some of those reasons that you're saying. And I'm a firm believer that Steph isn't a once in a generation player. He's once in the existence of the sport. He's still
Yeah,
playing at a top level. Like there's one. Like you could say generational players, that's cool. That's great to have and you don't trade those or whatever. But Steph is on the level of the greatest of all time. Like he's on that, sphere of
yeah.
great
How
at
many
what they
comments do
do.
you think are torching me right now for the segment earlier about Jalen Brunson, Steph Curry? What do you think the
Well,
comments are
it,
saying at this point?
it, it begs the question of where does he fit most to allow his greatness to just be great? And the Warriors have to do it. They've got enough synergy and continuity there that is his best shot. Learning new systems and everything with another team is a lot for a guy his age, and I think he'd rather retire than switch teams. If Steph had his opinion in there, he'd be like, "Fuck that! I don't want
But
to switch teams." So
who
I
do you
think
think is gonna? How do you
Chicago,
think the trade deadline's gonna play out?
Vucevic and Levine go to Golden State and maybe some sort of three-team deal.
Oh,
And
that would take
suddenly
some
things are
magic.
real. I mean,
I'm not.
Kuminga to Chicago
See, then
and Wiggins possibly,
that would change my opinion of the Western Conference, because now you're adding to teams that I have to compete with.
and
So
those
I
are
will,
pieces. Yeah,
and those are pieces. Like,
that they
I'm not
need
delusional.
desperately.
See, here's the thing, people. I'm not delusional. I'm basing it on what I see in front of me now.
And if you're
What happens
Chicago,
between
whew,
what happens
sorry,
between now and next Thursday could change my opinion again. But
I like
as of
that
right
about you.
now,
You're staying on top of it. You're not locking into some stuck position. That's good. Love that.
no, because remember my position at the beginning of the year. We're either going to be a lottery team or a play-in team. And as the
Hmm.
year progressed, I was like, wait, we could do damage.
It's absolutely true.
Now,
But
I'm
yeah,
going to add a question here because I just thought of this now. Which team should make a move but won't?
ooh, OKC.
OKC.
Yeah,
You think they're
they
getting
are.
comfortable out there in Oklahoma?
And why not? You're crushing it. You're killing it. You're like you got the best player in the world outside of Jokic, crushing it every single night with ease and poise and professionalism and leadership. And it's
Just
like, man,
because
they
you're great
got it
doesn't mean you
all
can't improve, though.
big time. And I think they're legitimately missing some structural pieces and maturity and experience being one of them. And if they want to just do it on their own, getting experience and stuff, I think that's yeah, it's a lot of wasted time, but also long run, I appreciate the investment in people and time. So
So the reason I threw that last question in there because I'll give you a quick answer. The
yeah.
team that I think needs to push their chips to the middle finally and make a move,
Mm.
the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, especially with
I don't,
Jalen Johnson being out now, they've got to decide where they're going. It's win now
I
or
don't, I don't think they're going to make a move, which is why I threw that question in there.
that's a good
Because the
one.
Hawks stand pat more than anybody else in the world.
Yeah.
But I really think you either got to push your chips in the middle or you got to turn the ship around, dude.
I know it's funny. I think the only deal that actually is going to happen is going to be the least exciting one and probably the most frustrating one for us. You want to know which one it's going to be?
What is it going to be?
You already called it at the beginning, so something tells me you already know.
What
Ingram.
did I call at the beginning?
Ingram's coming to Toronto.
Oh, I did call that. Oh, I forgot about that.
I think Golden State's going to swing for the fences and try to do something with Chicago, and Chicago might be able to shake them down. And depending how that goes, I could see that one being the 100%. But otherwise, the Raptors are going to do that Boucher, Brown, probably something else we should keep or something, and they're going to take a
I
chance to
still
see how he
I
fits
still
with
couldn't figure out
the
why they
squad.
traded everybody else and Gary Trent got to stay last year.
I think it's going to be like what they're doing with Ingram this year is to see if he's really good. Like if it's a fit and he shows that he just fits, they'll sign him to a deal. Look what they did with Quickly and RJ. It's like, oh, you're the culture that we're going for. You're the
Yeah, they
personalities that we want.
overspent on those two guys.
But like we were talking about maybe last time, it was an investment in the like character of those guys. And I get that side beyond just the numbers and stats. Like those guys are characters that they want to mold their
Yeah, and
organization.
I have those guys on my team too. I'm not blind to that fact either. Look at my attachment to AR-15. It's I probably hyped that guy up more than anybody else, but
But
that's
if
my
you're
guy.
yeah, if you're developing a team of young guys, you want some decent young leaders like the Raptors are doing by having an RJ and Quickly and Scotty and Ingram matches the timeline along with Pirtle, and he fits that missing piece of a somebody to stretch the floor, has height, is undervalued right now that you could snatch him for nothing. And if he's looking good, you sign him, but you don't have to.
I'm
He's expiring.
If you don't mind, I'm going to ask the people a question here that isn't trade related or anything. I just want to know if you're still watching this at the 43 minutes and 30-second mark. And I know I haven't done one this year, and I stopped doing them last year. But do you guys miss the Raptor rundowns, and should I bring those back, even though the team is absolute bottom of the barrel, kick the can?
Mm.
Like, do you miss the Raptor content? Or should we keep doing the at the buzzer format the way we've been doing it? I just want to know. So if you could leave your comments in the comment section, that would help me out greatly if you're watching this here podcast.
Yeah, that's good. Good pitch. I remember
Just
enjoying the
just want a
aspect
little
of a
feedback.
developing team, right? And there could
Uh,
be the not expectation of winning a championship, but really getting into the culture building side of a team and watching the little things grow, like your draft picks or your coaching or your style of play, and some of
like
that can be good with the
I,
rundown
I
for
know
sure.
some of the people like the Raptor rundown, so I just wanted to get that feedback. Well, I had everybody's attention here.
Yeah, man, I like it. I like it. That's for sure. I don't know if Oh man, I don't know if Ingram would be the fit, but I'd love it. I know he's a good kid type of deal and didn't fit in that toxic culture at New Orleans
See,
because who could?
here's the
What
problem
if
with
he's a fresh
Mister.
start? Yeah,
Here's the problem with Mister Ingram, and I can say this because he used to be a Laker.
yeah.
And
And
I'm going to say this with all due respect, because Brandon, I love you, and I wish you were still here. However, Brandon is most effective when Brandon has the ball in his hands. Now, with a Scotty Barnes and R.J. Barrett and Quigley, how much of that ball is Brandon gonna see? For him to be most effective, he kind of has to be the first or second option. So I
what
don't
about
know if
him as
Brandon
a spot
would
up
be the
shooter?
fit, huh?
I could see him. Can you do a spot up shooter type of thing? Kind of a Porzingis, a mini Porzingis. You know what I mean? Like
You
just
can
really stretch
try,
the floor. 'Cause he's
you
got
can
that
try, but
ability to
from what I
shoot.
from from what I remember, he's most effective when he has the ball in his hands. Cause,
Okay.
cause, cause remember, Brandon likes to roll to the
Mm.
rim too.
Yeah, see, it's been so long since I've honestly watched him that it's a pretty vague recollection whatsoever.
I have a scouting report.
Yeah,
I have a scouting
yeah.
report. But I
Yeah, and
like
another
you.
guy that yeah.
But I like you for the sheer interest. For the sheer interest of what it would be, I'd love to see it.
It's kind of a zero loss situation. Like unless you're planning on signing Boucher and Brown the next year, you might as well swap it out with something else to see what that looks like
Now, are there any other topics as we hit the 46-minute mark here that you want
to
to
round it
discuss
out.
this evening?
Man, there was the pitch about 10-minute quarters. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all.
Oh,
There's
can we?
the
Because I
All
know people are
Stars,
gonna go. I know
and
people are
there's
gonna go
also
hysterical. I know people are gonna go hysterical on my take on 10-minute quarters. So can I give it to them so they can roast me in the comment section?
100%. Yeah, please.
Because
Oh,
because because if you remember, I don't know if it's gonna start the timer or if this is gonna be a limited segment, but I'm just gonna say it because we had this discussion over the phone about a couple weeks ago, and I brought up the suggestion of 10-minute quarters, not under the guise of anything other than cutting back players' minutes, saving their bodies like 8 minutes a night. You know, if we can't reduce the 82 games, let's cut back on the minutes. You were
mm.
not such a big what do you call it? You weren't such a big
I wasn't
supporter of the
doing the who.
idea.
I wasn't a hoorah yay guy.
You weren't a hoorah yay guy, and you kind of like Mo. That's kind of redonkulous. And I said, so is taking back 10 games because they're not going to do that either.
Yeah, stats
But
mean too
I,
much to money.
but I love the idea of 10-minute quarters. I think
Hmm.
I think the NCAA should adapt a 10-minute quarter system so that when you're doing the transition, it's not as big a deal. And
Hmm.
I think it's great. I I'm vote yes on 10-minute quarters.
If I had my way, I would just suggest stretching the season out. You know, if you're going to have 82, then just no back to backs and extend it. So, oh no, shorter holidays for the billionaires. Well, yeah, shorter holidays for you, and we get more
We're
basketball and
already
less
going into the
hiatus.
middle of June. We're already going into the middle of June.
Why is that a bad thing? I don't want there to be gigantic gap of no basketball. It's
Okay,
too it's
how
too
how about
compressed in
this?
my mind. Yeah.
How about this? Instead of starting on Halloween, we start on October 15th, and there's your 2 weeks where you can slide games in, and we're
Just
still
yeah.
done by
No,
June 13th.
I think if you got rid of back to backs across the board, that will take injuries down like the sharpest thing you could put on a graph. If you got rid of all
That's why
back to
that's why I
backs,
gave you the 2 week. That's why I gave you the extra 2 week window at the beginning, so we're
right?
not playing till the end of June.
Yeah, if it's a slight modification like that, oh, your holidays shift a little bit, but you get to save your body an extra 2 years and make an extra $100 million. How's that for a pitch, right? It's like, guys, spread out the season just a bit more, and stop the back-to-backs. So you stop, Joel Embiid's could be short $100 million over the next 2 years because of his injuries. It's a rough
Oh,
deal.
Joel Embiid's a crybaby. Yeah, I know. I said it. I said it. I
Well,
stand by it too. For those of you in the comment section who think I'm gonna take it back,
yes, Dad. Go on, and especially on the Phillies game day. Oh, buddy, stay away from those
you want my
Phillies
opinion
fans.
on Ben Simmons? Comment section. I don't think so.
What do you think of the Eagles?
I'm rooting for the Eagles to win. I do
Okay.
respect the Chiefs, but if I have to look at Taylor Swift in that skybox for any longer than I have to, and I know she's going to be at the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes gets every call known to man,
I
but
don't want to
I
be
I want
cynical. See how it
I
goes.
want the I want the Eagles to win.
Right on. If they do what they need to do, they will.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the health of Jalen Hurts' knee, and if he's wearing that 20-pound brace when he takes the field in 2 weeks in New
Well,
Orleans.
see, there's Embiid and Hurts are both guys with bad knees. Injuries are a real
Well,
deal.
Hurts has just happened, and Hurts plays through his. So I got more respect for Jalen Hurts than I do Joel Embiid.
Can I? Oh man, quick note. I want to just before I forget, new segment. Um, just like to take a moment of. Let's say this is about Luka Doncic, wherever he went to for this season. Hope that he's doing well. And
He's getting healthy. He got hurt there.
right, I guess he just seems like he did not show up this year. If you know what I mean. He's supposed to be
Yeah,
the top 3 player in the world. Top 3.
yeah.
Just feels like he didn't show up before the injury, and then the injury almost feels like a mercy that it was just like maybe just sit down type of feeling.
Well, Luca's always had this problem. This is not new. This is all
Anyways, there's a few
Luca.
guys that have just kind of disappeared this season. I was going to have a moment of silence for them, but also the All-Star. I don't want to forget the All-Star here, man. And before we get down to it, that was the big news that we gotta touch on at least a little bit.
What's
But
this? Because I
just
haven't heard this.
just the selections, like the starters and reserves have all been named, and that was the big conversation today of snubbery and just celebrating the guys that made it and the cool.
You know what the sad part about this whole thing is? Is no matter what we say next, this will be the most interesting thing about All Star Weekend. That's the sad
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, that's kind of why I think Norm Powell actually secretly won NBA All-Star Weekend because he doesn't have to participate. And everybody still considers him an all-star, including his peers, the broadcasting, the everybody. Everybody's like, "Oh, Norm Powell, man. Oh man, I feel so bad for Norm. Oh, Norm's the best because he's put in the work. Everybody loves
Norm
him."
gets to go on vacation. What are you feeling bad for Norm for?
Exactly my point. I'm so happy for him that he gets to be considered an all-star by all the people that matter and then go on a vacation and enjoy himself as James Harden has to go back and throw alley-oops up for freaking
Here's how little I
Chuck
know about the All Star game. Is where is it this year?
Golden State, I feel like.
And that's the thing is I don't care about the All Star game anymore.
Yeah, I think that's most people. It's just sometimes the acknowledgement for players that means a lot
Oh,
of
I acknowledge the
respect-wise,
players.
but yeah.
I respect all the players because it's not their fault the game has become obsolete. Like being
Yeah.
like being
Hello.
voted an all being named an all star is still an honor, but the
Yeah,
game
and I think it
itself is
shows.
garbage.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That I think we're definitely in agreement on, and I was just stoked to see some names like Cade Cunningham, Alfred Şengün, Darius Garland.
Well, there's no
That's
argument that
awesome.
those guys can't be all stars.
No, but it's just sometimes the NBA has a way of going with what works. So the Devin Bookers, the guys that just have traditionally been there.
Yeah, but Devin's just I said it. I don't
He
know if I
didn't
said
earn
it on the
it.
podcast or if this was before we hit record. But earlier tonight, I did say Devin's kind of disappeared in a way that I've never expected him to disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, he's taken his job seriously up to the point of maybe too serious. He's gotten kind of Andrew Wiggins about it, just very silent in his successful impact on the game.
Yeah,
Starter
so
wise, I thought there was some crazy over talent in the West compared to the East.
I'll tell you what. As long as you're not too busy next Thursday night,
Mhm.
I think will be the next podcast so we can recap all the craziness that has happened at the trade deadline.
Do we think there's going to be any craziness? Just the way this league
No,
is, right?
no.
It's going to be Brandon Ingram to the Raptors and a quiet
There,
night in
there,
town.
there. Here's the thing, and I love basketball, and people are gonna hate me. This is gonna be the night where if you want to dive in the comment section and hate me, tonight's gonna be the night to do it, because I'm gonna say this. When it comes to the excitement level of the NBA is the most cookie cutter boring league in North America. You look at it when the MLB has their trade deadline, things blow up. The NHL has Trade Center that runs for 9 hours a day in Canada. Even the NFL has a trade deadline where we're glued to the TV seeing who went where. The only time we don't really care about the trade deadline is in the NBA because nothing ever happens.
That's for the most part true, isn't it? I can't remember any big ones in the last couple of years, but there's got to be something that'll happen. Jimmy Butler has to go. It's just how
So
bad is it going to
basically,
be, or how average is it going to be? Because it's not going to be
so
good.
basically, what I'm asking you is, do you want to do a recap Thursday night, or is it even worth booking a Thursday night pod if you're not too busy to even do a recap? Because
Oh no, man! Yeah,
you're right,
absolutely.
nothing.
I think it's worth checking in and talking about what didn't happen, or if something does, like Brandon Ingram to the Raptors, then we can talk about that for a little bit.
You heard it here first, guys.
No, they've been chipping
Dennis
that one.
Rodman,
They've been chipping that one out
Dennis
there.
Rodman's number one fan has Brandon Ingram coming to the Raptors, and you know the sad part is you're not gonna get credit for it if it happens. Some
No,
insider
no,
will
somebody
say
beat
something.
me to that one. I'm stealing that from somebody. I wish I had
Oh
called that.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
there was already reports on that one, but there was one thing I was going to ask you. Who's the modern day Dennis Rodman?
Well, let's see. There was Dennis Rodman. There was Ben Wallace. There was who would be the guy after that? You know who I think it is, and this might not be because he doesn't have the toughness or doesn't have the perceived toughness. But for my money, and this is going to be a completely off the board pick, nobody's going to see this coming. Sabonis in Sacramento.
Oh, okay. I love it. I was like, I hope he thinks the first time I'm thinking that's off the board too, but I love it. Love it. That's actually probably
Because
more accurate. Yeah,
that guy gets 15 to 20 boards a night, and he makes it look easy. Demontis
big
Sabonis.
time. Big time. But is he the worm?
No, but nobody could be.
No, that's
Nobody
true.
could be.
Here, let me
That's like asking if somebody's the next Roddy Piper. It's not possible.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna need at least just some type of animal, and that's why I got just the nickname guy. It's Chris Boucher, the duck.
Oh, I'm still gonna go with Demonis on this one.
Yeah, Demonis is more on his level of skill and relevance, but the way that Boucher plays of his oddness, his from the streetsness, his I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna play practice like it's the championship, but also play the game like it's practice. You know what I mean? Everything is just the same for him, and he goes hard, and he's the worm. He's just always grabbing random boards, and he's just got that weird body type and personality, and he just gives me Robin vibes. That's all.
That's so funny how we went two completely different directions with the same question.
Yeah.
And you can't go wrong with either pick when you think about it logically.
Do you think Sacramento's going to make that move? That's another one I'm going to keep tabs on and curious what you think.
I think
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox goes somewhere.
Yeah.
I just don't know where.
I think.
But if I had my pick, it'd be San Antonio.
Oh, boy. And Jimmy Butler, do you have any further instincts on what happens with that?
Jimmy, you know what? We were talking about it earlier, and you said the Houston Rockets are waiting. You know, the other blue collar team in the NBA, if they don't do the Jalen Brunson for Steph Curry thing, which I believe is a 1 in a billion chance, I believe Jimmy
This
could
is my
find his
other
way to
team.
New York.
That's what I was thinking. They've got the assets, they've got the need,
They
and
play
they've
his
got the
style of basketball.
attitude. Yeah, yeah. Like if he tries
And
to
then
give New
Jalen,
York City
the
attitude,
dog.
he's done. Like that's a place for him because he can match their intensity, and there's no like halfway with them. Either you're beloved
That,
or you're out.
but that's
You
just a
know.
guess. Like I said, I don't know if that's
Mm,
me being legitimate or if that's me hoping. I want what's best for Jimmy Butler. It may not seem like it a lot of the times, but I want what's best for these players. I don't necessarily look at it from a lens of like a lot of people when they get on a
mm,
podcast, it's like, how can this benefit my team? But as proof with the Steph Curry thing, I think the Steph Curry for Jalen Brunson trade could work for both teams. So that's why
mm.
I threw it out there. Now, people could call me crazy for
Ooh.
that,
No,
but
because it's brought full circle here to our first conversation of Steph Curry. It just hit me. Jimmy Butler to the Warriors has been talked about quite a bit. We haven't talked about that. What's your hot take on that?
doesn't happen
No?
because and their
And that's
greatest
not the only
asset is
move they make. Let's say they got a Vucevic along with a Butler.
oh no, I will say this. I'm sorry. I will say this. That that Jimmy Butler to Golden State thing is absolutely dead in the water
Mm.
unless it's Draymond going the other way.
Whoa. Do those dudes not get along?
No, no, it's not about getting along. It's you can't have two dogs on the same piece of property.
You got Russ and Joker on the same team.
Different scenario. Different scenario. Russ
Jamal's a
knows
bit of a dog.
Russ knows he's the old head now. He knows
He's
it's
still a
Joker's
dog.
team. That's a different scenario. What I
I see
mean
what you're
is like
saying. I see. I see. Yeah.
it'd be like having Pat Bev and Draymond on the same team.
Yeah. But
It
does
wouldn't
that
work.
work in your favor? Is that the magic? Because you're swinging for the
No,
fences if you're Golden State here. Like, you got to do something. And is that
unless Steph
possible?
is gonna play. Unless Steph is gonna play referee, it doesn't work.
Well, if anybody could, it'd be the most respected player in the league, right? In terms of
Who said that's
personality and I get the
yeah,
vibe that he's just not hated, right? He's just generally respected.
I'm just playing. I love you,
Yeah.
Steph. I'm just playing, but
He makes it effortless. Not saying he's the most respect. I'm just saying he's kind of unanimously respected. Nobody's like that guy's a phony. It's like nah. There's a basic
oh, I've heard
respect for
he's
him.
I've heard he's a phony, but it's not for his basketball play. It's more to do with his press conferences and other things. Which
Yeah,
is
which is
that's fine.
everybody. Yeah,
That's fine. That's everybody. Who cares? Like
everybody except Dennis Rodman.
that's why I'm hating on the bologna factory for having a bologna and cheese sandwich. It doesn't work.
It's what they do, exactly, exactly. So I get what you're
But
saying
yeah,
though. You
I
can't
don't.
have two alphas of that nature. Well, you can't have two silverbacks in the same
Yeah,
cave.
it doesn't work.
That makes sense,
So
man.
unless
Yeah,
it works if Drake goes the other way,
it's just no, it's not going to happen with Steph the way he is.
and the
So
money works,
yeah, but does Heat want Draymond? No, they won't.
nobody wants Draymond. Just retire and go do your podcast, buddy.
It's coming, but he's going to cash every check that they'll give him. And wouldn't you? I would.
Okay, any final thoughts, Ski, as we head into trade deadline Thursday?
Um, I'm hoping the best for Steph out of anything here. I think he's kind of on the last bit of his career, and it would be most exciting for the league and him to do something interesting. So hope whatever that entails, it happens and the chips fall where they may. But that's my big desire. And the Raptors, man, that's the other one. I really would like to see what they're doing here. If they pull that trigger, I'd like to see that combination. I'd be pretty stoked on that. How about yourself?
All right, and I will leave you on this. Uh, all I'm gonna say is, I hope they give us something interesting to talk about next week. I'm looking at 3 teams. No, I'm looking at 4 teams. I'm watching 4 teams. I'm watching the Warriors, the Knicks, the Rockets, and the Lakers.
Yeah. Due to the
And
week, right quick.
due to the week, due to the week,
Hit it quick if you
I
got
got I got to do it. It's Victor Wembanyama.
nice
It's
one.
5 blocks and 5 3-pointers in a game. You get due to the week. That's
Man, that's a really good one. Mine's slightly less impressive, but all the more important to recognize the the mitten, the left-handed
I'm getting
mitten. You know who I'm talking about? GP2. Um, Peyton threw down a dunk.
the son of the
This
glove.
is yeah. This that's even cool. The son of the glove. The son of the glove threw down a dunk that just kind of got
Remember
me out of my
they had
seat.
this. Remember they had the son of the mask, and that movie flopped. So
That's true.
I'm
All
just
right, we'll
saying.
stick with GP2.
The
Anyways, this guy
mitten.
jumped out of nowhere, left-handed baseline slam on top of somebody 7 foot, and it was with such aggression and trampoline height that I forgot that he could do that. And I watched one of his little 1 minute reels of dunks. Man, he just brings joy and slams it harder than I could remember. And holy, much respect to the mitten. Whew.
You bet. Well, 4G, the bistro of basketball knowledge. I'm your host, Mo Money. And until next time, may your ego come from a place that keeps you humble. Mamba out.